Hi guys, Cynthia here with this month's final productivity postcard. Oh, it sounds so dreadful, doesn't it? But I had mentioned in the previous two monthly newsletters that this would be the last one. There are going to be some changes, and I'm going to share that with you today. So hang in there. I'm going to talk about past, present, and future. I started my business almost 30 years ago, and I was afraid. And what I was told was, go ahead and be afraid, do it anyway, there's time to panic later. So I took it to heart. I was afraid, I did it anyway, and in fact I did panic later, but I survived. And I survived long enough to produce over 330 productivity postcards. I was so totally blown away by the time I figured that out. I said, oh, it really is time to retire them. Cynthia, over 330, I couldn't believe it. So in the past, the commitment I made and the commitment I wanted to make was to bring value to my clients. And so fear or not fear, I thought it was a value, it was something I wanted to pursue. And I'm so glad that I did, that I got over the fear and the concern and all of that, because you learn so much on the other side. And those of you who have stepped to the plate of fear and panic understand exactly what I'm talking about. There is so much more to learn, and it's so much richer on the other side. So were there challenges? Yes, absolutely there were challenges. I moved across country. I had a totally different target base when I did that. I faced, as we all did, 9/11, the impact on the business. Then there was 2008, the financial meltdown, which took quite a while to get over. But I thought maybe I was done, but no, we're not done. We thought that we just might throw in a pandemic on top of everything else. So it has been a challenging year, to say the least. But of course, there have been more rewards than there are challenges. I realized that I could write, so I wrote a couple books. One became an Amazon bestseller. Holy cow, who'd have ever thought of that? I went back and I counted how many posts and how many tips I had written over the years, and it exceeds 600. I even can't believe that, but I think that the point is that I've said most of what I want to say, if not all of what I want to say about productivity and procrastination and getting organized and performance and behaviors. I'm kind of not totally through with that, but I think I am kind of totally through with producing monthly newsletters, because they have become a challenge on my time because of the other things I'm doing. So presently, of course, what I'm doing is the same thing you're doing. I'm trying to get through 2020. So let's talk about the future. I think that would be more fun, yes? In the future, I'm going to continue to do virtual training, coaching, and mentoring, because I love those three venues that I provide for clients. I'm going to stop or slow down drastically any travel requirements that I may have. And I'm going to take it a little bit easy, a little bit. I think what I'll do for next year in lieu of productivity postcards is, from time to time, I'm going to have what I call a pop-up. I created pop-ups in March when we went into the stay-at-home order. And I found that if there is a topic, and I limit the number of participants so that it still feels like an intimate gathering, that there's a lot of wonderful experiences to share and things to learn from one another. So I probably will do my pop-ups. And I'll keep you on the list for productivity partners and let you know when the pop-ups are coming. I also want you to know that many businesses you've read about during a time of crisis or a time of extreme change have pivoted. That's the word that we keep hearing. They've pivoted. And I, in fact, have used that word because I did pivot my business. But the other day I read, some of us don't pivot, some of us pirouette. So I'm going to pirouette and tell you what I pirouetted into. I decided to take my experience around behaviors for individuals and apply it towards behaviors that I could share with leaders and owners around their culture. In March, I was invited into working with an organization called the Culture Think Tank. And the think tank provides polls on a monthly basis, on a subscription basis, where leaders can see the results of questions every month and then be able to create an action plan and a strategy around addressing some of the feelings and needs that their employees express, of course, anonymously. So I was invited into the Culture Think Tank. I love the work. I love the ability to use the behavioral information that I have, the performance and productivity information that I've developed over the years, and to use it now in helping leaders create and sustain a healthy culture. And I'm using the assessment as a way to do that. I have become the debrief queen, if you will, for them for the time being, and I'm looking forward to doing more of the same as we grow in 2021. So if you are interested in cultural assessments for your organization at all, I do have another e-newsletter that I put out monthly. It's called The Leader's Log, and it is an under 5-minute video with a couple of resources that speaks directly to leaders, owners, the C-level professionals in an organization to help them think about and think through what their culture and what their individual employees may need, because a culture is nothing more than living relationships, right? So if you would like to be on that list, on that newsletter, please let me know by just sending me an email. Just say, yeah, I'd like to be on Leaders Log, and I will add you to that particular database. Meanwhile, I will look forward to seeing you hopefully at a pop-up. And I have, of course, one last suggestion and one last exercise for you to do before the new year. And that would be, since it is a time of reflection, what I think I'd like you to do is write down 5 things that you think are really worth your time. I think in this year what we've all had is enough time to think about that. And now that we're going into a new year, and it seems that life will at some point during the new year start to return to a semblance of order, I think it's interesting to just actually write down with a pen and paper 5 things that you think are worth your time, because you know that when we return, it may not be exactly the same, but life will get much busier and maybe more complicated. And you don't want to lose those reflections and those things that you felt were worth your time, because once your time goes, it doesn't come back, right? So that's my final exercise for you. And again, if you'd like to be on the Leaders Log, let me know. And if you'd like to be invited to pop-ups, I'll keep you in this email list. If you'd like to be removed from being invited to pop-ups, let me know and I'll remove your name, all right? Thank you so much for being my friends, for being my customers, for being my clients, for being my networking buddies that keep me going. And I hope and I plan on seeing you, maybe even in person, at some point next year, all right? Have happy holidays and have a wonderful 2021.